Test, 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 test. 1, 2. The first thing we always like to do is actually see if you guys can hear me. All right, link is in the chat. Mute yourself here. You guys know the drill. See you on YouTube. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. See if you can fucking hear me. Man, I haven't. You can. Okay. Remember to mute yourself on YouTube. Am I? Ty's like, am I first? Nah, bro. Hannah. If it's not Alan, Hannah's usually the first one in here. So, good job, Hannah. Oh, by the way, I kept thinking about that Death Note reference and how you got it. I thought that was fucking awesome. All right. Let's begin. Hopefully, as people come in, they'll catch up. No, I was... oh, shit. Somebody's trying to take your place. Sean's trying to take your place, Hannah. All right, cool. All right, so Hannah's second place. Yeah. Ty's like, hey, my Wi-Fi. Guys, like, I'm doing the best I can. All right, don't worry about it. So, let's actually... the perfect way to kind of... go through all these topics is I'm just going to revisit the session from yesterday. And you know what? I haven't actually listened to it since then. So we'll actually find out if I did a decent job or not. Let's just close all of these. Okay, not bad. My tweaks. Well, I'm already done with this mix, but there are some things I may change if I wanted to. All right, so let's talk about automation first, because that's one of the topics that I told you guys is very, very important and very, very useful. So let's just take a simple example of maybe the vocals, right? Because vocals are kind of an important instrument. So I'm just going to mute all the other subgroups for now. And I'm using automation on the subgroup, which is technically an aux input. And so you can do this on audio tracks, you can do this on aux inputs, whatever you want. I'm doing it on an aux input for now. So you guys know that automation is the process of being able to change any parameter during the course of a song, right? So for example, if we took a vocal, let's say in verse 1. Let's do chorus 1, sorry. Maybe, oh, maybe we'll be just fine. Okay. We'll be just fine. So there's a couple of things that we can do here, right? We can maybe change the volume parameter, which is this thing right over here, right? Or we can change the panning parameter if we wanted to. Or we can change the mute parameter if we wanted to. We can change a bunch of things, but these three components that I just described are the mixer parameters that we can automate. Another example of a mixer parameter, and this kind of answers Hannah's question, is your sends. Remember, sends are used for reverbs and delays and stuff like that. And actually, just so that we're like super on the same page, I'm actually gonna go to the exact vocal. Yeah, let's go to V1. Let's just go all the way there. Or let's go to V2. I like V2. All right. So you've got V2 track, right? You can change your volume or the fader volume. You can change the pan, left or right. I feel it. Right? You can change the send to the reverb and the delay. We have a send here going to this reverb track. If we wanted to add a delay, remember how to do that. We have a delay aux all the way here. We have it set to an input called Vox delay, and the delay is on here. So if I go to the actual track, go to the send, click on it, go to bus to send a copy of this vocal to the Vox delay, which is over here. Boom. And again, whenever you send anything on a track, you have the option of pulling this fader up like this when you click on the actual bus, right? Again, I know these terminologies can be really weird and confusing. Hey, what's up, Sadie? We're on YouTube. I'll see you there, okay? Link is in the chat. Hope you're safe.
All right.
I know that the terminology can be kind of confusing, but just know that a send is like a slot. The bus is what's used to connect the audio from one place to another, and the aux input is where it's accepted once you set it up correctly. So, I see you put your aux right next to the insert channels instead of at the end close to the master fader. Yeah, again, everybody's got their own preferences, but yeah, I like to do it this way. Yo, what's up, guys? I just got on YouTube. Link is in the chat.
G.
Yep.
Yo, G, give me a couple seconds. I literally had to just beat the shit out of somebody because he tried to rip the mask off my face.
Oh my god, bro, you are having
I
it
ripped this
bad.
nigga up and down the fucking stove.
All right, hold on. So we're on YouTube, okay? So just I'll put the link in the chat. Just show up whenever you can. All right.
Damn, I'm not the first person again. Fuck.
It's okay. It's okay. Next week, redeem yourself.
That's not the ass whooping. It's the meeting there first.
All right, I'll see you in a bit. Okay. Oh shit. Fucking life, man. Okay. Yeah, so there is another way of doing things where all your aux inputs for reverb and delays are with your subgroups. You can totally do that as well. By the way, we may have to take this video down if he's talking about that shit, so I'll decide that later. Hey, what's up? So, you got your vocals, your send to the aux input over here. Now look, you can send using this fader that pops up, but like I said, the way I like to do it, Hannah, is if I hold command and click on this little arrow right here on the send, it opens up small faders. And that's much more visually appealing to me. So now I feel it slipping away. Right? So we've got our vocals. We can change any mixer parameter, the volume, the pan, the sends, the mute. And the way to do that, there's a bunch of different ways to do it, like you already know. But I'm going to show you, I'll show you all of them. So if you go to your edit window track, command plus click on the arrow, yes. And go to your track and click on the bottom left. There's a little arrow or automation symbol here. If you click on it, it opens up the automation lanes, right? So right now you can see the volume automation lane. So you can actually just either hold command and hover over the line to create automation points, right? You guys know this from my other videos. To draw the shape of the automation that you like. You can use your pencil tool to actually just draw it in yourself if you want to. But the way I like to do it is using this little option over here where it says read. Now, in order to show you this in the most efficient way, I'm going to make this track a little bigger. I'm going to open up this a little wider. Going to move this over here. And going to show you, let's see, let's do this. I want you to see both because that's when you'll actually get the benefit of it, right? So this right here is the Vox V. It really should just be called verse, but all right. So Vox verse. This is the track that you want to keep an eye on. What I can do is where it says auto read, what it's saying is that this track is reading all the automation lanes affiliated with it, right? So that means if there is automation like there is over here, it will read that and follow it. So you can see when I hit play over here, watch this fader. It's moving on its own because it's reading this guy over here. And this is how you can really start to bring some dynamics into your... Now look, you don't have to go this extreme if you don't want to, and that might be a little too much. but this is just how I like to do it, and this is the way I get mixes that I like, right? And I'm only doing it for that reason. So it's reading the automation lane. But if you click on that, there's actually a couple of different modes that you can actually access. Now, in Pro Tools Ultimate, there's a couple of extra ones, so I'm only going to go over the 3 important ones: touch, latch, and write. Touch is very, very simple. It means that whenever you touch this fader over here, it will start recording automation on the track until you let go of the fader, right? So check it out. Let's kind of move everything so we can see it all. Okay, that's better. All right. So when I click on this, fader, you'll start to see a red line appear, and when I move it, it will record all my movements until I let go of the fader. Watch this. Click, right? Move up, move down, and then when I let go, it'll go back to reading whatever the automation is. That's touch mode, right? So as soon as I let go, it goes back to reading the automation lane. So what does that mean? Suppose I'm like, oh man, this little peak over here was too high. That means I can just alter this section alone by using touch. Watch this. So it's reading, and then I grab it, bring it back down, let go. So that's the benefit of touch. So I'll do one more time. So suppose you're like, man, this went way too low over here. I went way too low on the fader here. Well, you can alter that, right? So I'm going to do it on my little fader here because it's a little easier. But as soon as I touch the fader, it enters record mode until I let go. Right? Again, I'm going to do it one more time, but I'm going to take this camera and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So let's just delete this for now. All right, go here. Ooh, sorry, this is my hand. Hello. All right, let's do this. So watch. As soon as I touch it, it starts recording. As soon as I move it, right? And I let go, it goes back to reading. So again, same thing. Right now, it's still reading the automation. Right? It's going to move on its own until I grab it. Then it starts recording until I let go again. That is called touch automation, touch recording mode, right? I love touch. It's such a great way to like keep things efficient, and it's definitely what I use more for music. The other mode is called Latch Mode. Now this is exactly the same in the sense that as soon as you touch the fader, it starts recording. The only difference is when you let go, it won't go back and read the automation lane. It's going to continue recording and leave the fader at the level that you left it at. So watch this, right? Latch mode. Let's actually pull that up. So let's see. Latch mode. It's reading the automation until I touch. Then it starts recording. And then when I let go, it keeps recording. It latches on and keeps recording until I move it again. So it's going to overwrite everything that I had underneath it over here. That is latch mode. So let's do one more time. All right. As soon as I touch, it starts recording. Let go, and it's going to continue to remain in that position, but still record. That is latch mode. And the final mode is write mode. Now, in order to actually explain this, I'm going to add another parameter. Let's say pan. Now watch what happens. Actually, I'll even add one more. Let's do delay send. All right. So, in order to understand write mode, right, you have to actually go into your window menu and click on automation and see what exactly is going to be written. Now, this is very interesting. Everything is record enabled in write mode. You can see that right here. The plugins are going to be automated, the volume, the send volume, pan, send pan, everything. So when I hit play right now in write mode, recording for automation is going to start immediately on all parameters. Check it out. See how all of them are red? All of them are recording right now. Right? Even the pan. And the delay send. Right? So, it's pretty cool in some ways because you can do multiple things. If I could use both my hands, I could show you, like, right? You can do multiple things automating at the same time. But the downside of it is, if you forget that you've actually record enabled some of these, then what's going to happen is that it's going to overwrite what you already recorded. So let's switch back to record mode, write mode, sorry. So it's, right now, I'm like, oh yeah, let me change the pan. But then I forgot that it was also recording the vocals, and it got rid of everything that I did for the vocals. So you have to be very careful with writes. I would say that touch and latch mode are the most popular ones, and touch I would say is more popular, but write is there to serve if you want to use like a multiple parameters at the same time. There's also this thing that people do. I haven't really understood why they do it, but sometimes people will do a write automation pass on the entire session to make sure that there's no automation. They'll like just overwrite any automation by just hitting play in write mode. Honestly, there's an easier way to do that. If you just type in clear all automation clips, well, you have to select the region first, but you can select a region and say clear all automation, and it deletes all the automation that you did. So there you go. Those are the different automation modes. What's next on this? Subgrouping, right? So I know that's something you guys want to see again. So let's do it with vocals, right? So for now, I'm going to mute these vocals. All right. So we got a bunch of vocals here. All the blue tracks are vocals. These three at the end are the reverb and delay sends and returns for, the returns for the vocal tracks. So they're all kind of vocal related, right? If you want all of these tracks to be going to their own individual aux, that is essentially what subgrouping is. You're taking all these tracks and putting them under one aux input. And that's all I'm going to do. So I'm going to create a stereo aux input, call it vocal sub. Going to click on click on the solo while pressing command to permanently solo it. You guys already know why. I always color my subgroups a certain color. Set the input to a free bus. All right, so all these steps are kind of basically the same. So I chose bus 15 and 16, but the only difference is instead of sending a copy of these tracks to the subgroup, you're going to output all the tracks to the subgroup. So I'm going to click on the first track, hold shift, click on the last track. Then, if I want to change all the outputs of multiple tracks to the same output, I press shift, option, click on the output, choose the bus, and they all change to that bus, all of them. So now, all the vocals are coming to this subgroup. It also means that if I put like a EQ, it does the entire vocal. So this isn't cascading. I was literally just about to get to that, Ty. Cascading is slightly different. I don't think this has a particular name. I think it's just dope shit. No, I think it's setting all outputs to the same output. Cascading is different. So for example, let me get rid of all these reverbs and delays, right? So if I wanted to set up my reverbs and delays, I can set up, let's say I'll set up 3 stereo auxes, right? Once you have all 3 tracks selected, you can press Shift Option Command and the solo button. That'll actually solo save all 3 of them. It's a nice little shortcut. Let's say this is verb 1, verb 2, delay, right? And you got your plugins on or whatever. So what I want to do is I want to set my verb 1 to a free bus. So I set the input to say, I don't know, 2930. The verb 2, I want to set the input to another free bus, a different free bus, right? Not the same one, a different one. So I set it to the next one, 3132. And then I can also set the next one to the next free one, 3334. So that's essentially what I want to do. 2930, 3132, 3334. I want to set those inputs up like that. Now, the easy way to do it is if you select all 3 tracks and then you press Shift, Option, Command, and click on the first input or the input of the first track and choose whichever bus, let's say 2930, it will set the first one to 2930, the second selected track to 3132, and the third to 3334. So check this out. 1, 2, 3. Boom. It's a really cool way of doing it. So 1 aux for all those tracks, and that's all. For some reason, I was thinking it was much more. Yeah. And that's, again, that kind of goes back to what we talked about, where the benefit of having an aux setup is that you can have more control over your entire group, right? If you wanted to process your entire group or the sum of your group in a particular way, subgroups are great. Or if you wanted to use reverbs, instead of putting a reverb on every single track, you can use it as a send to dial in the amount of reverb, and that way everything kind of has its own space, or it's like everything has its own encompassing reverb space that it occupies. So very, very beneficial. All right, so I'm going to go back and open up the session before I made all these changes. So suppose you're done with your mix, right? And you're like, oh, I'm super happy with it. You know, my professor's going to be proud of me. I'm going to get fucking great grade. I'm also going to get hired and I'm going to get paid, blah, 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 blah. Now what you want to do is you want to bounce the track, and in some cases you'll have to deliver a Pro Tools session, all right? And that's what you have to do for this midterm. You have to bounce and deliver the Pro Tools session. Now, look, inevitably people fuck this up one way or another, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a foolproof way of doing this. This is not the way you would do this if you have everything organized. If you know exactly where your Pro Tools session lives and all that stuff, hey, you're golden. You can just do it the usual way, right? What you're going to do is you're going to first highlight the region. Actually, we're not even going to do that first. I'm going to show you how to save a copy of this session, right? If you click on File and you go to this thing called Save Copy In, this creates a duplicate Pro Tools session folder for the entire session. So what you have to do is go to File, Save Copy In, and make sure that the audio files is checked. This is also really helpful if you forgot to copy when importing, or if you have audio files living on all these different drives that you haven't consolidated into one space. So save copy in, check audio files, hit OK, and then call it something sensible like midterm underscore whatever, save. And what's happening now is it's creating an exact duplicate of the session. So literally when I open up this new session that I've created, and I know where it is because I'm paying attention to where I'm saving all this stuff. So you see how it's making a new session right now? It's giving it some weird name. And this is the folder, remember? Capital midterm, blah, 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 blah. This is the folder. When I go in and I open up this .ptx file, it should look exactly the same. And it should sound, well, okay, so it looks exactly the same. Sounds exactly the same too. So we're golden. Next thing we got to do is make a bounce. All right. So you want to make sure before you bounce anything, you want to make sure that, oh, Alan, you don't have to come back on Zoom. We're still on YouTube. Before you bounce anything, make sure you have selected the correct region. All right. Because sometimes if you don't select, Pro Tools will bounce anything extra. So if you have like automation points all the way here, it'll actually bounce all the way up to that. And if there's something that artists hate, it's if you send them a bounce and there's like 2 minutes of extra dead noise, or there's like 30 seconds at the very top. Artists hate that shit. So make sure that you find out exactly where the song starts. And in this case, it starts right at the top. And also find out exactly where, oh, Jesus, dude. Hey, just, man, bro. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hey, just fucking stay safe, dude, man. Jesus. Damn. Sorry to hear, man. Fucking hell. Then you want to find out exactly where the song ends, right? Keep us. Right? So that's where it ends. So because this still has to go through mastering, I usually give it like a little bit of a tail. And if I had some space, I would give it a little bit of a top. So make sure you choose exactly where it ends. And remember, when you click on this little section over here, this little bar, remember that it selects the entire Pro Tools session. So I always click on that, and then I can press Shift and return, and that will select the entire song, right? So one more time, just find out where it ends. So that's where it ends. Click to select the session, Shift, return, and that'll start at the beginning. If it wasn't at the beginning, what I would do is I would find the end, right? And then I would just drag it all the way till wherever I needed it to be. In order to bounce, you guys already know this, but File, Bounce to, Disk. Make sure your bounce source is set correctly. What do I want to bounce? I want to bounce whatever was going to my headphones, which is monitor left and right, the physical output, or output 1 and 2. File type, WAV file. If you want to add an MP3, you can. This is a 44.1 24-bit session. Most important thing, make sure it's interleaved. Do not forget that. Then give it a proper name. Midterm, FTH, mix, jeez, something sensible. By default, when you click bounce and have this offline checked, it will bounce without having to run through the session. And also, it will go into your bounced files folder, which is a part of your Pro Tools session folder, this thing. This whole folder has a bounced files folder, and that's where they're going to live, right? So once it's done, you'll get to listen. Hey Josh, link is in the chat. So So it's still bouncing. Give it like another 5 seconds. And done. So now that it's bounced, where is it? Well, if you go back to your Finder and go find that session, right? It was in SAE, Pro Tools Sessions Midterm, right? That's what I called it. And then if you go into your bounced files, here it is. If you double click, you can actually hear it. Right? So it sounds good. I would listen to it and just make sure that it's actually bounced correctly, because I'm going to listen to this bounce to judge your mixes. So just be aware of that. So now you have everything in here. You have the bounced files. You have all your audio files in here. You have the Pro Tools session. Everything is kind of here. So I can actually go back to Pro Tools, save, file, close session. So I don't have to worry about that now. You got to do that first. Then I want to zip up this folder. So this folder right here is what you're going to deliver. But before that, you right click on compress, and this is going to create what's called a zip file, right? It's like a container file that you can put a bunch of stuff in. This is what you're going to submit for your midterms. So whenever that's done, you'll get this thing called whatever.zip, and that's what you upload. Now, I don't really need to do this, so I'm going to stop it. But that's it. All right. Cool. Any other questions? I don't think there are. Popping up small faders, cascading, subgrouping. All right, cool. Let's take it back to Zoom then.